Match to remember, 5th of May 1928. Everton had already clinched the league championship when they faced Arsenal on the final Saturday of the season. 60,000 people crowded into Goodison Park, not so much to pay homage to the newly crowned kings of English game, as to witness one man's attempt to rewrite the record book. That man was Dixie D, who stood on the threshold of a unique and quite astonishing personal triumph. With only 8 minutes to play, Patterson palmed a fierce Martin drive for a corner, took the man who had served Dean's main provider throughout the season, took the flag kick. Dean rose magnificently to outjump his markers and head powerfully home for the 60th goal of the season.
Go away!
Hang on a sec, boys, there's a special treat. Just when we were on the stairs, just before we go in, Mr. Daly, yeah? What's your face? Frank. I just talked to Frank outside, just tonight, and listen, you know, there's no script here. Nobody wrote this for us. We don't need anybody to tell us what to say. We are the people. We know what we're talking about. Frank, you know what? He was at Dixie's 60th game. Tell us a bit about it, Frank, if you don't mind.
Well,
really. He looks younger than me, by the way.
Everyone looks younger than you.
Well, it's a bit of a shock, this. But no, I was actually at the game when Dixie scored his 60th goal against Arsenal, and that was at the Park Road end, which at the time had no roof on it. I was in Bullens Road in the ground. I'd started off in the boys' pen for fourpence, but you had a habit of falling over the fence and finishing up at the other end of the ground, you know. And in those days, you followed the team from one end to the other. Whenever we were kicking in the Gladys Street, everybody shuffled to Gladys Street, and when they changed round, they all went back to the Park Road. And Dixie, they tried their best to kill him, because there were such things as when he jumped up for the ball, somebody would grab his shorts and try to drag them off, and he'd be holding on with one hand trying to hit the ball at the same time. But it was interesting, and it's how long? It's 75 years ago. That's terrible, that's not a lot to remember. But I've been going there since 1927, and I haven't learned my lessons yet.
One question that's, I don't know if anybody else is thinking about it, but you know, Dixie, everybody says the greatest, and I don't know if Frank's the only person here who ever saw him, I don't know that, but you know, we've read about him, and I guess like all of us, we've been waiting for the new Dixie. Have you seen Rooney?
I'm afraid so far he couldn't compare to Dixie. What he might develop,
yeah.
is another thing, but so this moment, right, there was nobody, every league club did their utmost to bring Dixie. Remember me, I knew him quite well. I met him in town one day, and he showed me his legs. In those days,
don't get excited now.
Football boots had steel toe caps.
Yeah.
And when you got kicked with them, you got kicked. And he showed me his legs, and from there down to his knees, on both legs was a massive scars that he had, stitches and everything. It was really damaged to his ankles. And he had a steel plate in his head, which is probably why he hit the ball so well. But there's nobody could kick a ball, kick a penalty, as well as he could head a ball. And he used to say to Torry Gillick, who was the winger, the guy, when you put that bloody ball over here, make sure the lace is not going to hit my head. Because in those days, the leather balls had the lace in.
Yeah.
And over came the ball, and Gillick was so good, he could bring it across for Dean just to nod in the goal. And that's how he lived his life.
Absolutely. Well then, buddy.
Right, well, I was basically an Evertonian since I was born, and I didn't really have any choice because my gran was an Evertonian and her sister, and she was the secretary for Everton Football Club for a long, long time. And my mum used to work for Dr. Marsh. But I'll always remember my brother was a mascot when Everton won the league in 1987. And it was the day when they were presented with the cup. And we all went along. And because I was the youngest and I wasn't getting any attention, I had a bit of a tantrum. And I cut my finger on the wall. So Peter Reid said that he'd get a photograph taken with me. So there it is. But I always remember walking onto the pitch and how muddy it was. And I remember Gladys Street just erupted when my brother came on. And I remember thinking that he was just must have been the coolest brother in the world. So that's my memory of Everton.
I'm an Evertonian because my dad was an Evertonian, but my dad is an Evertonian, and my granddad's an Evertonian, and his dad was 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 an, and you know what it goes anyway. But it was really special for me dad's being Evertonian because when he used to play for the Sunday League team in Heath, in his club Heath, he got for charity. He got to play against all his heroes of the 70s, all the Everton heroes of the 70s, in match charity. And it was a brilliant match because it started off as a normal match, 0-0, and by the second half, Everton had scored 1-0, and then it came back on, and then Heath had scored, making it 1-1. And then as it came down to the closing minutes, my dad got possession of the ball. He avoided a sliding tackle. Another one got to the box and he hit the ball as hard as he could, and the ball just sailed into the back of the net. And they won 2-1 just in the closing seconds. And my dad got to beat all his heroes of the 70s, and they raised loads of money for charity.
This is my room, man. I've got Everton wallpaper around the room. I've got posters.
I like Everton because they're great.
It's a grand old team to play for. It's a grand old team to support. And if you know your history, it's enough.
This is our manager, David Moyes. He came from Preston. He's got red hair, but we don't care.
What the heck do we care? 'Cause we only know
These are all the shorts that I've got.
when the Everton boys are there.
These are all my Everton shirts.
It's a grand old team.
This is my Wayne Rooney one.
It's a grand old team to support.
This that we wore last season at home.
It's enough to make your heart go. Whoa.
This is one of the tops I wear. I like this one because it's got just a shirt and then it's got all different shades of blue and white and then the Everton badge. I've had this for quite a long time now because I've been supporting Everton since I was like 4. This is the famous shirt that Everton wore in 1995 when we won the FA Cup. This one's the away one that we wear this season. One of this season's goalie kits that I wear for the match when it's a cold day at the match. This is another goalie shirt that I wore last season. This is the home shirt that I wear that I'm wearing now. To play like Everton, you need skill and you need talent. But the rules is never to argue and always play for the whistle. And never cause fights. And if you get sent off, you get sent off. Don't just stand arguing with the referee. And it's Everton. Everton FC. We're the greatest team the world has ever seen.